Morgan, Erev Shabbos Kaddish, Parshas Balak, Shabbos. Today is the Chaim HaKodesh is the outside. It's a very holy day. The Rebbe was Yachis to the day many times. About the Chaim HaKodesh, and that's so. It's probably one of the places where people come. The number of places which are a very, very big usage of people going on the day of the yard sale. Comes out on a Friday this year, which makes it a little harder. Anyway, the Rambam, today's Rambam, Ilchas Talmud Torah, Perek Vov, Halacha Dalet, one line, little line. Well, the Rambam talks about 24 things that we put a person into nidui if he does, and one of them he says is machshil esa iver. Now, going just to note in Hilchas Ritzayach Shmiras HaNefesh, as the Rambam really delves, I mean, not much, but a little bit into the union of Lifnei Iver. There, it clearly states Lifnei Iver is not a law about putting anything in front of a blind person. It's talking about causing a person to do an Aveir. So it's a little strange here that there's no clarification in the Rambam. We'll see soon explanations. And also, what is he talking about? Is he talking about all cases? Is he talking about literally in Hebrew? Is he talking about the usual case that we talk about, which is causing somebody to do an Aveira, giving a person bad advice? Comes along the Ravid and says, Amar Avram, somebody who hits his child who's old enough who may hit back. We'll talk about that too. Now, to note, and the Rambam himself, in Hilchas Mamrin, Perek Vov, Halacha Tes, which we learned not long ago, says, Amakeh b'nei Godel, Menaden Eisa, you put him in the Cherem. Somebody who hits his big son old enough, find out what that is also, is put him into Nidui, Sharei Oiver Al V'lifnei Iver Leisita Nechshem. He's Oiver Al V'lifnei Iver Leisita Nechshem. Now, so what does the Ravid mean? What does the Rambam mean? And is this Nidui only for the case of Makeh b'nei Godel? Is it for all cases? That's what the discussion today will be about. Where's the makar to this halach in Hilchas Mamrin and with the Ravid at first? There's a Gemara in Moed Katan, Daf Yud Zayin Amar Aleph. The Gemara says that the maidservant of Rebbe saw somebody hitting his child, who was a grown child. She said, let him be in Cherem, because he's being Oiver Lifnei Iver Leisita Nechshem. And there's a brayso that says, Lifnei Iver Leisita Nechshem, Makeh Lifnei Godel. That's what the Torah is talking about. Rashi says, Dika Omar Mishum Lifnei Iver Leisita Nechshem. Kiva the Godel, Shem and the Va'ed Ba'av. He may rebel, he may get back and kick the father. Or Mavayed can mean he rebels against the father, which we're going to discuss much later. So, just to note, we're not going to get into this at length, but there's a big discussion. If you're Oiver Lifnei Iver, if you tried advising somebody in the wrong way, but the guy didn't take your advice, or you tried getting the guy to do an Aveira, you set him up for a sin, but the guy didn't fall for it. Never did the sin. Are you Oiver Lifnei Iver? Are you Oiver by the mere fact that you did? So, they want to bring a raya from here. And since all the guy did was hit the son, and he may shema b'vayid b'aviv, and that's considered Lifnei Iver. Okay. Well, then others say no, it's much more than a shema. Chances are he's going to respond. That's a big discussion. my reading of the Rambam's Lifnei Iver and Hilchis Ritzei Cheshes Nefesh does not lend itself to that a Shema should work. Anyway, Kesef Mishnah here in Hilchis Talmud Torah. What is the Rambam? Why did the Ravid also mention Makib and God? What about the rest of Lifnei Iver, Machshel Iver? That's a standard question that's asked many Mefarshim. And to answer that, there are many answers. We're going to give a number of them, and then perhaps suggest a possibility what's unique about Makib and God. The Kesef Mishnah says that the Gemara says Makib and God as an example. But really, it's all Lifnei Iver. And the Ravid is coming to explain the Rambam. The Rambam said that you get nidli when Machshel Iver comes again the Ravid and says, what kind of a case can I show you? Can go in, but not dafke, in any case. And a raya to that. Because the Rambam in Hilchas Mamren, when he says that a Makib b'nei Gadol gets nidui, why? Shaharei over Shaharei hu over al Lifnei Iver. So what does that show? That shows that he's been going with Lifnei Iver. That's it. That's all what counts. So the Ravid is a mefarish. Uncharacteristic of him, his dealings with the Rambam, he's been mefarish. On the Rambam, there are many svarim. One of them is called Be'eris Hamayim. So he challenges the Kesef Mishnah by saying that's not the usual style of the Ravid to be massig on him and explain him. So he says, "Faket." The Ravid is arguing on the Rambam. Rambam says, "Machshel Iver Lashon of the pasuk," which we'll talk. That pasuk is either Lifnei Iver, Machshel, or Mashgi Iver Badar. And so he would think it means literally. And now Iver comes to Ravid and argues, says no, it's only a specific type of Iver. That was Machlekes here that the Rambam is learning that we're talking about a real Iver. No, it's Lifnei Iver. The Mishnah says clearly he's not talking about a real Iver. He's talking about an Iver that's bedas, doesn't know something. He is blinded by his desires. That's a Lifnei. That's an Iver. Here, I'm talking about a real Iver. So the Ravid no, talking about only Iver of halacha. Now, that requires a conversation on its own, but it would. There's ways to explain that. Rambam Shita would be that the Orur Hamashge Iver Baderech, unlike all the other Orurs in Parshas Kisaveh, which are just repeats of Isurim that already exist, this would be a new Isur. So I suggest that maybe the Lashon HaPasuk is really different. Here it says Baderech. Here it doesn't say Baderech. Again, that's what indicates that one doesn't really mean an Iver, and this one does. Here it says Mashge. There it doesn't say that. So whatever the Rambam learned, like it's a nice approach. Migdalois on the Rambam. He says, I don't know what the wants. That's what the Rambam holds. It's the Ravid was arguing on the Rambam. The Ravid understood the Rambam not to be meaning only meaning general, like Beres Hamayim maybe says. That's the way he understood him. But the Ravid is wrong. Says the Migdalais. Harayit. Because take a look at Hilchas Mamrim, where the Rambam explains. He says generally all 24 things, or many of them. He says all of them. The Rambam here says in a Lashon Kloli and then explains them somewhere else, more practically. There's another sefer on Rambam called Yitzchak Iranin. That'll be with Rambam. That what the Ravid is coming to say is that there's no nichshel really. That you didn't actually create a nichshel. That the Ravid is saying that even if you just create a possibility of that there should be a nichshel. That's when that's enough. The Rambam is machshil iver, means you have created it. Forget what we spoke about earlier. The Rambam holds you need mamish a mixture. Something has to happen. So the Rambam doesn't have to. Just creating the mixture is also enough. Rambam seems only you need to build the mixture, but there comes a Rambam. That's the discussion. I told you there's a lot about, not for our share here. There's another sefer gives another explanation called Keser HaMelech, that here Chalal Safik if the son is going to be over. Not only that, it could even be that the father was Meichel, like the Gemara says a story in Masechet Kiddushin that Rav Huna, Rabbi Rav Huna tore up in front of his son a very expensive clothing, and he said, "I want to see if you get angry." I was like, "Well, maybe he'll get angry." He said he was Meichel. So Zok Tais is that in that case, you have to say that he told them, you don't have to get angry. I was Meichel. Otherwise, the halacha is if somebody's mischavim for an aver and gets a mitzvah, he also gets punished. So you see that somebody, even if he's Meichel, but if you don't tell the child is going to be over, and that's what the Shamta is on specifically. Yeah. And that's what the Rambam is being mechadish, and I guess the Ravid is explaining it. That's what the Rambam means. I mean, he's okay with it. That's at least the Ravid is saying that. That's the chiddush of Makkah b'nei Agadol. If you're creating a mixture, it's a mixture. It's not even a mixture, but the fact that in his mind it's a mixture, he's doing it thinking that he's doing an avera. That's also, and that's where there's nidu. In this case, has nidu. Not every machshel has a nidu. Only in such a case. The Pri Chodosh says that the Ravid is coming to argue the Rambam following. According to the Rambam, it seems that every Lifnei Iver has a nidui attached to it. But although you can say that's not pshat what he means there, but that's the way it's understood. No, only in a case of Makkah b'nei Gadol, because there is some heter. And yet, we can be meichish of takala. We have to be meichish of takala, and that's why we put him into nidui. And it's not. There's a tzad heter. What's the heter? So ulay yeshleimar that he means that that he means the union of chinuch. And mitzad the union of chinuch, there's a heter to hit your son. But because of Gadol, we have to be chayshish that he's going to do something wrong with it. So let's analyze if that's an answer. It's an answer. But let's analyze what does B'nai HaGadol mean? Makkah B'nai HaGadol. The Rambam does not give a shear to what's a Gadol. The Gemara in Kedushin Daf Lamed says, Amalei Rav Nosson Bar Ami Adi Yodach Al Tzavore Devreich, which is, as long as you have control of your son, that's when there's chiyuv chinuch. Mishitzer ad esher b'taytim, 16 to 22. And some say from 18 to 24. And the Gemara brings the pasuk, Chanei ketanoi, Chanei chlenar pidarko, chinuch. Yehuda Rav Nechem, Chadom Mishitzer ad esher b'taytim, Chadom b'tam nesar. So that was machlekes. Where's the age of chinuch? What's the age of chinuch? How far does it go? So Rashi says, listen to the words of Rashi. As long as you have that hand, strong control of your son, then then you teach him and rebuke him. The age is man, and he gives you the times. Less than that age, he doesn't really get it. And Well, tachbid yisur v'sachachas. V'yesem esrim v'tarka. Don't do it. Sheyesh lochish levayit v'zedik. What's he saying? According to Rashi, it sounds that really chinuch is forever. Father will get forever. But you got to be stopped at a certain point where he can rebel, and where he can either hit you back or rebel, whichever shot in Levi. So it seems like it's not correct to do because of the rebellion part, but the chinuch is there, so that it fits well with the svara of the Pri Chadash. Let's take a look in Shulchan Aruch. Mechaber Yeridei Hilchos Kibbud Av V'Em Simon Reish Mem Siv Chof writes exactly the lashon Rambam. Makel Bnei Godel, put him to Nidui because he was able to Neiver. Zog the Ramo v'loy mikra Godel Adav Hazeh. He's not called a Godel. Rak Acha Chav Beis Shana Yicham Dalach. The way till he's 22 or 24, he's called a Godel. Okay, that's okay. Fits with the Gemara, Rashi. But that's even again. Remember, Rambam doesn't say it. Mechaber doesn't say it. That's the Rambam. Yam Shlomo says different. Either way, he says, you can't put him in Nidui until he's after 24. However, you shouldn't hit him even after 22 already, because if you're chayshus. What happens if he got married at 18? Then you can't hit him, because that's considered a gadol already. Interesting take. Zog the Ritva, Ma'it Cotton, that's sugya of Makim b'nei gadol. There is no day, there is no age for gadol. As long as you know, as long as he's a child, that according to his teva, he may rebel, and he's going to hit back, or he's going to say something, he's going to do something. Even if he's not bar mitzvah, he shouldn't do it. And the reason the word gadol, because that's moshchiach, but really doesn't mean that. So in other words, that really probably fits with the Rambam, that the word makim like gadol doesn't mean gadol. It means when he's of age, would fit best with this. But it was sort of a simple logical sort that it's not totally in God. If we're afraid that he's going to rebel, it should be totally in each child and each generation. Today by 8 years old you can rebel already. They're very young. The rebellion age is much younger. So what's the shaila? Why? What's the argument? 24, 22. What's that? So Ulai Yeshlema the Ramah and those who agree with him hold that as long as there's a chiyuv chinuch, chanich l'nar pidarke, who cares if you don't? We got to do our thing. That's mafkia the love of Neiver. The Torah says do it. You got to do it. Now it is so far we go so far with this chiyuv of chinuch that the halach is that if a father is hitting his child, and Nachman al-Islam by mistake, the kid dies, he's bought up from Golos. And even in the case, the Gemara says there, even if he learned already what he did, now there's a mitzvah because he asked him, so it's part of chinuch. By the chinuch, so obviously there's no love of favor. And that's the Ramah. And that's why the Ramah paskins. It's Chav Beis and Chav Dalet, because that's when it's Ois Chanoich Lana. Then you have no right. The Tva says no, that it can't be chinuch if it can create opposite of chinuch. You can't educate when you're doing the opposite of education, and therefore it's not shaykh chinuch chinuch in such a case. But either way, there won't be if it says chinuch, either because you can't have such chinuch, or because there is no chinuch after that age. And that's the lotion of most of the Nefarshim on the Ramah. There's no chinuch after Chav Dalet comes. Okay, so those are the general approaches to what's unique about Makkah b'nei Gadol, what's the halacha of the Rambam, what's the Rambam saying. I want to just add a small point here. And with that, the Messiah being. The Levush in Siman Reish Mem Yeridei Siv Chav brings this halacha. Makkah b'nei Gadol, and I say why. Because it says you're able to neighbor. Shemachshilenu libnoi Shemen Metechkasai Virigza Yachzibiaken. He might hit him back. Legitimate concern. That's why he shouldn't do it. However, in Shin Lamed Daled, when he says Menadna, he writes Hamachshel Seive Kigoin Hamakim and Legodl Yudches At Chavdalud Shana. He says Sheimachshiloi. Now, first of all, here he says interesting lashon. Hamachshel is Ive Kigoin Hamakim and Legodl Yudches At Chavdalud, meaning from the Chavdalud Shana. Probably means it's supposed to say Chavbeis Chavdalud Shana. Shemachshiloi, not he's machshel him that he's going to hit him back. Shema yivaed boy v'yanichenu. Now you see this word yivaed boy v'yanichenu. What does that mean? It seems like two different reasons. One reason was you're not allowed to hit your son because he's going to hit back. Okay, they put him in Nidui too, he writes there. But here, he's giving a list of Nidui, and number 17 is a Machshel Seiver. And he gives an example of a Machshel Seiver. He talks about a different thing. Not he's going to hit you back, he's going to leave you. What's the difference? I said Rashi also says the Vayit B'Aviv. But the Vayit you can learn two ways. That's what Yanichenu is saying is a little more. Perhaps Yivayit, but it doesn't mean he'll kick him. And it fits into a lot of things, especially with the Yanichenu. Yivayit means he will rebel and he will leave him. What is the problem with that? It's not about an Aveira specific. It's about leaving everything and not having directional life anymore, which could cause many Aveiras. Where do we find Nevayit, a loshon of rebellion? Vayishma, Yeshua, Vayiva. Right? And most Shotim learn that it means Merida. The Gemara says, Tachlis Chach, Mar Brochis Daf Yud Zayin, Tachlis Chach, Matshuva, My Speshli Odom, Koyer V'Shena, Ubayid B'Aviv, means rebelling. And Mashal explains, why does he say specifically this? Because he Oisem, Maisim, Royim, Acherim, Korle, Bayid B'Aviv, when he does bad things, it's Bayid, he's going against them. By doing other bad things. Perhaps that's Taichia Yivayid B'Aviv Yanichenu. Yivayid B'Aviv Yanichenu means he will rebel and start doing bad things against father and leave his father. He had nothing to do with him. Like the Mashal says. Oh, and that's why there's a special nidui in this case. There's a special nidui in this case because this case is not about one Aveira, Lifnei Iver, just Lifnei, a regular Lifnei Iver. This is a Lifnei Iver of Chas v'Shalom causing a child to go off in a bad way of doing Ma'asim Royim and leaving his father not having the chinuch that he needs. And therefore, Chas v'Shalom doing a lot of terrible things. And so that's why she put him in Nidui. I'm just going to hit him back, goodbye. I did my Aveira. That's a regular Lifnei Iver. There's a unique Lifnei Iver. And any Lifnei Iver that works in this direction, that's where you put Nidui. Yeah. So that's why in the case, in the halach, when it talks about the Nidui, more of the focus there is Elam and Adon. That's where the Levush uses this explanation, because this is Gigoyin. This is the Gigoyin of a Makkah. There's a Makkah is also because you can hit you back, but that's not a Gigoyin. That's not what we're comparing anything else to. Only Lifnei Ivers that are similar to this idea where Yivayit V'Yanichenu is what we ask. Perhaps that would give us an understanding of what's unique about this Aveira and why this Aveira warranted a Nidui. But we do have that other shot that the Rambam is saying two different things. That's from the Be'er Samayim. That when he writes here, he's talking literally about an Iver. And that approach has validity and can be justified in Shat the Pasuk and how the Rambam learned the Pasuk. It would just be a little odd to say that all other Urus and those Psukim are things that have established Yisurim, and this is the not established Yisurim. They're creating a new Yisurim. But again, the Lashon Pasuk, the changes in the Pasuk could have been what caused the Rambam to say that, as we said earlier. Anyway, a good Nev Shabbos, seid gesund stark, and it should be that the days coming, she Amen Yehovchu, and the Sassen, and the Simcha. Sei gesund.